Hi and welcome back to another Top Tips episode from me, Matt Eld of the Canary Room. Today's top tip, well, it's the principles of pairing. I'm often asked, how do I decide what birds to put together? What are the things that I consider? So I've developed my own little model of the things that I think are important, and I'm calling that model the 7 Principles of Pairing. So, very quickly, and then I'll go into a little bit more detail in this video, the 7 principles are the model itself. So many of the birds that we keep and breed have an exhibition standard, a scale of points and what they should look like. Then we want to think about the future. So how do we want the stud to develop over a period of time? Then it's about pedigree, the bird's pedigree. We're looking, of course, at the qualities of the bird, the faults of the bird, the feather type of the bird, and finally, the vitality of the bird. So those are my 7 principles of pairing, and here they are in a little bit more depth. So first and foremost, specifically in the example video that I've done today, I'm going to look at my Fife Canaries. Now, my Fife Canaries, I'm a champion breeder and exhibitor of the Fife Fancy Canary. The model, there's a pictorial model that you can see here on screen. There's also a scale of points. So my first consideration when I'm putting a pair of birds together is to try and produce the model. That's what I'm aiming to breed towards. So that's the first thing when I consider the principles of pairing. Then, of course, I'm looking at feather type. Now, there's a separate bit of video on feather type on yellow and buff. As we look at these birds here, you can see these are some of my variegated birds. We've got a variegated yellow cockbird here and a variegated buff hen that bird will go over. So those will be one of the pairs that I'll put together in the Canary Room in this breeding season. Now, when I look at the feather type of these birds, the hen here has quite a soft feather, so she's a buff, but she's quite a soft feathered buff bird. And so to complement that, the cockbird that I've chosen for her has got, really good, strong, sort of hard feather around him. So hopefully those two birds together, as well as being yellow and buff, with the hard and soft elements of the feather, they'll work together too. Then I'm looking at the overall qualities of the birds. So if I take the cockbird in the first instance, this bird's got a really nice free neck, it's got good position, and it's got a good strong head on it. If I take the qualities of the hen bird, she too has quite a good position. She's got really good width across her shoulders, and she's not too bad in the head, but she's got a nice shortness to her body. So what I'm looking to do when I'm putting the pairings together is to double up on those qualities. Now, every single bird has faults to it. And one of the things that we have to be when we're looking at pairing our birds is objective about the faults that these birds have. The cockbird is perhaps a little bit on the long side. And this buff hen that I'm going to pair with is a nice short bird. And so what I would hope is that pairing together will produce some really nice birds. So we've looked at the qualities of the individual birds. We want to double up on those qualities, and we consider the faults of those individual birds. And what we want to do is avoid doubling up on the faults. Our next consideration is vitality. And that's about the overall health and vitality of the birds. So both from a breeding perspective, so conditioning the birds, but also an underlying health perspective. We need to keep a real close eye on our birds, poorly birds with underlying health conditions are really to be excluded from the pairing programme. We then need to think and consider the pedigree of the birds, and this is, all of these principles really have a link to them, but this is intrinsically linked to, what the future holds for us. So when we look at the pedigree of the birds, we go back into our breeding records, we look at how they're bred, we look at their grandparents, we look at their parents, we look at their siblings, and that's one of the other considerations that we have, and that really develops into the future. So our principles of pairing are designed to almost, as much as we can, predict the outcome of the young. Now, of course, we can't always do that, but looking at pedigree and type over a number of years, we can, really reduce down the risk of a specific pairing. And that's the future. The final consideration is, of course, the future. And it's about the pairs that we put together now, and the young that they breed, and how those young will both look, but also the pedigree of those young as we take the stud forward. So there they are, my top tips, my 7 principles of pairing. I hope you've enjoyed this short video. If you have, give us a thumbs up, give us a like, hit the comments down below. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Thanks a lot for watching.